Let's be honest for a moment. That feeling, the one that crawls in on a Sunday night or hits you like a ton of bricks when your alarm screams you awake on a Monday morning. The feeling of hating your job. It's more than just a bad day, isn't it? It's that soul-crushing monotony, that feeling of being trapped in a cycle that drains your energy, your creativity, maybe even your hope. You spend a third of your life, a third of your one precious life, doing something that makes you miserable. And the standard advice? Quit your job. Find your passion. Manifest a new reality. Sound familiar? But what if quitting isn't an option right now? What if finding your passion feels like another impossible task on an already overwhelming to-do list? What if you're stuck, truly stuck, and the only reality you can manifest is getting through another week? Now, imagine someone coming along, a philosopher no less from the 19th century, and telling you that the solution isn't to escape the misery, or even to just passively endure it, but to love it. To love the very fate that has you in this job you despise. Sounds completely insane, doesn't it? Maybe even insulting. Welcome to the world of Friedrich Nietzsche, one of history's most provocative and misunderstood thinkers. And welcome to one of his most profound, most challenging, and I believe most potentially transformative ideas. Amor Fati, the love of one's fate. Now, before you click away thinking this is about some kind of masochistic acceptance of suffering or a recipe for staying stuck forever, hold on. Because Nietzsche's Amor Fati is far more radical, far more empowering, and far more nuanced than just grinning and bearing it. It's not about pretending your suffering isn't real. It's about fundamentally changing your relationship to that suffering, to your entire life, the good, the bad, and yes, even the soul-crushingly mundane. In this video, we're not going to offer you quick fixes or 5 easy steps to job nirvana. Instead, we're diving deep. We are going to explore what Nietzsche truly meant by Amor Fati. We'll confront why it's considered his toughest challenge, especially when applied to something as painfully real as hating your job. And most importantly, we'll uncover how this seemingly impossible idea might actually provide you with a powerful, unexpected framework for navigating not just your current work situation, but life's challenges as a whole. A way to find strength, meaning, and perhaps even a strange kind of freedom, right in the heart of what feels unbearable. So, if you're ready to challenge your perspectives, to grapple with a difficult idea, and to potentially unlock a new way of facing life's toughest battles, then stick around. This journey into Nietzsche's Amor Fati starts now. And trust me, it's a journey worth taking. Before we even attempt to unpack Nietzsche's radical proposal, let's be absolutely clear about what we're dealing with when we talk about hating your job. Because this isn't just a fleeting inconvenience or a minor annoyance we can simply philosophize away. For many, it's a profound daily ache, a heavy cloak you're forced to wear day in, day out. Think about it. It's the erosion of your spirit, one TPS report, one pointless meeting, one condescending remark at a time. It's that slow creeping realization that the hours you're pouring out, these irreplaceable moments of your life, feel utterly devoid of meaning, or worse, actively contribute to something you don't believe in. And the toll it takes? It's not just in your head. It seeps into everything. Your mental health takes a nosedive, anxiety becomes a constant companion, depression can start to cast long shadows. Your creativity, that spark that makes you you, gets dampened, extinguished by the sheer weight of obligation and boredom. You might find yourself more irritable, more cynical, a version of yourself you barely recognize, even with the people you love. Physically, too, the stress can manifest in sleepless nights, chronic headaches, a perpetually knotted stomach. Your body keeps the score, even when your mind tries to soldier on. That Sunday evening dread isn't just psychological. It's your entire system bracing for impact, preparing for another week in the trenches. And then there's the impact on your identity. So much of our modern world, for better or worse, ties who we are to what we do. So, when what you do feels soul-crushing, it can trigger a genuine crisis of self. Is this all there is for me? Am I a failure for feeling this way when others seem fine? Who even am I if my work, this huge chunk of my existence, feels so wrong? These aren't easy questions. They haunt the quiet moments, the drive home, the pre-dawn darkness. It can feel like you're navigating a dense fog, where your passions, your ambitions, your very sense of self become obscured. You're just surviving. And the idea of thriving, let alone loving your fate in such a context, can feel like a cruel joke, a complete disconnect from the raw, lived reality of your struggle. So, yes, the weight of a hated job is real. It's heavy, it's multifaceted, and it's precisely because this suffering is so significant, so deeply felt, that the conventional, often superficial advice to just be positive or find a new job tomorrow rings hollow for so many. It's also why approaching this with a philosophy as demanding as Nietzsche's requires us to first sit with the full gravity of the problem. Because if Amor Fati is to mean anything in this context, it can't be a denial of this pain. It has to meet it head-on. It has to acknowledge this bleak landscape, and then somehow offer us a different way to see the stars, even from the bottom of a well. So, with that very real, very heavy weight in mind, the first crucial step in understanding. Nietzsche's challenge is to be absolutely clear about what Amor Fati is not. So we've acknowledged the genuine, often profound pain of hating your job, and it's standing on that ground of understanding that we must first strip away the layers of common misunderstanding that cling to a concept as radical as Nietzsche's. Amor Fati. If we don't, we risk reducing a powerful philosophical tool into a platitude, or worse, a justification for misery. So let's be crystal clear about what Amor Fati is not. First, Amor Fati is not passive resignation or just sucking it up. This is perhaps the biggest, most damaging misconception. The idea that loving your fate means gritting your teeth, shrugging your shoulders, and just passively accepting whatever awfulness life throws at you, especially a soul-crushing job. It is what it is, a sigh of defeat. This could not be further from Nietzsche's intent. Nietzsche was a philosopher of strength, of dynamism, of the will to power, that innate drive in all things to grow, to strive, to overcome, to express its force. Passive resignation is the antithesis of this. It's a form of giving up, of allowing oneself to be diminished. Amor Fati, as we'll see, demands a profound activity of the spirit, an engagement with reality, not a retreat from it. It's not about being a doormat to destiny. Second, Amor Fati is not pretending to be happy or a form of toxic positivity. You know the type. Just be positive. Look on the bright side while you're clearly drowning. Amor Fati isn't about slapping a fake smile on genuine suffering. Nietzsche had no patience for superficiality or self-deception. He was ruthless in his honesty about the harsh realities of existence. He's not asking you to pretend your hated job is suddenly your greatest joy. The love in Amor Fati isn't a gooey, sentimental emotion in this context. It's a profound affirmation, a yes to reality as it is, including its painful aspects. It's about seeing the necessity of the negative, not denying its existence or its sting. There's no room for pretense in Nietzsche's philosophy. Third, Amor Fati is not an excuse for inaction or staying in harmful situations indefinitely. This is a critical point, especially when we're talking about a job that might be genuinely detrimental to your well-being. Some might hear "love your fate" and think it means, well, I guess I'm fated to be miserable in this job forever, so I shouldn't even try to change things. Absolutely not. Remember the will to power, that drive to overcome? If your current situation is crushing your spirit, then authentically affirming your fate might precisely involve recognizing that this suffering is a catalyst, a part of your fate that propels you to seek change, to strive for something different, to grow beyond your current limitations. Amor Fati can be the bedrock from which you launch your efforts to transform your circumstances, not a chain that binds you to them. It's about how you engage with the necessity of your current situation, even as you might be working to alter it. Fourth, Amor Fati is not masochism or a glorification of suffering for its own sake. Nietzsche acknowledged suffering as an inevitable part of life, even a potentially valuable one for growth, but he wasn't advocating that we seek out pain or revel in it like a badge of honor. He wasn't a champion of martyrdom, The goal isn't to suffer more, it's to become the kind of person who can affirm life despite its suffering, to integrate even the painful experiences into a meaningful whole, to transform poison into medicine, so to speak. It's about the strength to say yes to the totality of life, not a morbid fascination with its darkest aspects. Suffering can be a teacher, a sharpener of the spirit, but it's not the end goal. And fifth, Amor Fati is not a traditional religious or fatalistic, it's God's will. While it translates to love of fate, Nietzsche's Amor Fati operates outside traditional religious frameworks that might see fate as a divine plan to be passively accepted because a higher power decreed it. Nietzsche famously declared, "God is dead," signifying a break from such transcendent justifications for meaning or suffering. His concept of fate is more immanent, more about the inescapable web of causes and effects, the conditions of our existence that we are thrown into. Loving this fate isn't about piety or submission to a divine will. It's about a courageous, self-reliant affirmation of existence on its own terms, without recourse to supernatural explanations or comforts. It's a human-centered, earthbound affirmation, so we've cleared the fog around what Amor Fati isn't. It's not about being a doormat to destiny, nor is it about faking happiness or giving up on change. Before we delve into the truly profound, empowering essence of what Nietzsche meant by loving your fate, if you're finding this exploration valuable and it's sparking some new thoughts, do take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell too so you don't miss out on future deep dives like this one. And I'm curious, what's the biggest misconception you've encountered about Nietzsche or any other challenging philosopher? Share it in the comments below. I'd love to read and perhaps even address some in future videos. Your engagement really helps support the channel and allows me to create more content like this. All right, ready to uncover the true heart of Amor Fati? Let's continue. So, having navigated the labyrinth of what Amor Fati isn't, we arrive at the crucial question. What then is this love of fate that Nietzsche held up as his formula for human greatness? It's far more than a coping mechanism. It's a declaration of war against regret, against resentment, against the wish that things were otherwise. It's a roaring, wholehearted yes to life in its entirety. At its core, Amor Fati begins with a radical, unflinching acceptance of everything that has constituted your life and everything that constitutes it now. Not just the triumphs, the joys, the moments of bliss, but also the failures, the heartaches, the suffering, the periods of stagnation, the aspects of yourself you struggle with, and yes, even the dead-end job you currently despise. But it doesn't stop at mere acceptance, at just tolerating reality. Nietzsche pushes us further. He challenges us to move from acceptance to affirmation and ultimately to love. To look upon the totality of our past and present, with all its imperfections and pain, and to will that nothing be different. As he wrote in Exe Homo, his intellectual autobiography, "My formula for greatness in a human being is Amor Fati, that one wants nothing to be different, not forward, not backward, not in all eternity, not merely bear what is necessary, still less conceal it. All idealism is mendaciousness in the face of what is necessary, but love it." Think about the audacity of that statement, to not just bear the necessary, but to love it. This isn't about saying the painful parts are good in a conventional sense. It's about recognizing their necessity in the grand, intricate tapestry of your unique existence. To remove even one thread, one hardship, one regret, would be to unravel the entire picture of who you are. Nietzsche understood life as an intricate web of cause and effect, where every moment, every experience is inextricably linked. Your current hated job? It's a result of a million preceding moments, choices, and circumstances, and it in turn will be a cause for future moments, future choices, future versions of yourself. To wish that job away, in Nietzsche's view, is to wish away the specific lessons, the specific pressures, the specific catalyst it might represent in your larger life story. He encourages us to see our lives not as a series of disconnected episodes, some to be cherished and others to be discarded, but as an indivisible whole. Every mistake was a lesson learned or a path redirected. Every period of suffering carved out capacities for strength or empathy. Loving your fate means loving this entire messy, beautiful, terrifying process of becoming. To truly grasp the depth of this affirmation, Nietzsche presents us with one of his most famous and chilling thought experiments, the eternal recurrence. Imagine, he says, a demon were to creep up to you in your loneliest loneliness and say, "This life as you now live it and have lived it, you will have to live once more and innumerable times more, and there will be nothing new in it, but every pain and every joy and every thought and sigh and everything, unutterably small or great in your life, will have to return to you, all in the same succession and sequence. Would you not throw yourself down and gnash your teeth and curse the demon who spoke thus? Or have you once experienced a tremendous moment when you would have answered him, 'You are a god, and never have I heard anything more divine'?" The question isn't whether eternal recurrence is literally true. It's a psychological test. If the thought of reliving your entire life exactly as it is, an infinite number of times, fills you with horror, then you haven't yet reached a state of Amor Fati. But if you could, even in your most luminous moments, embrace that repetition, affirm every detail, then you would have achieved this ultimate life affirmation. You would be able to say yes to your existence so completely that you would will its eternal return. So how does this profound, perhaps terrifying affirmation translate into strength and freedom, especially when you're facing something like a job you hate? Firstly, it frees you from the torment of what-ifs and if-onlys. The constant mental battle of wishing reality were different is exhausting. Amor Fati cuts through that by saying, "This is it. This is what is given. This is my path, thorns and all." This acceptance doesn't breed passivity, as we've discussed. It breeds clarity. When you stop fighting what is, you conserve immense energy, energy that can then be redirected. Perhaps it's energy to find the lessons within the hardship. Perhaps it's energy to plan your next move, not from a place of panicked desperation, but from a place of centered understanding. Secondly, it instills a profound sense of agency, paradoxically. If you can choose to affirm even the things you didn't choose, like a difficult boss or a boring role, you reclaim a kind of power over your inner experience. Your circumstances may suck, but your response to those circumstances, your ability to integrate them into a larger, affirmed narrative of your life, remains yours. It's about becoming an artist of your own life, taking all the materials given to you, the beautiful marble, yes, but also the rough, ugly stones, and creating something meaningful, something that you can ultimately look upon and say, "Yes, this was my creation. This was my life, and I will it so." This, then, is the essence of Amor Fati, a courageous, active, and total embrace of one's existence, a yes so profound it silences all regret and transforms suffering not by eliminating it, but by weaving it into the necessary fabric of a life loved in its entirety. It's a monumental task, no doubt, but it's also Nietzsche's invitation to a kind of heroic way of living. So we've journeyed through the what Amor Fati isn't, and we've explored what it is, this radical, life-affirming yes to all of existence. Now we arrive at the precipice. How on earth do we begin to apply such a monumental idea to the daily grind of a job that makes us miserable? This is where the philosophical rubber truly meets the road. It's not about instantly loving the misery. It's about an alchemical process, transforming your relationship to that misery and potentially the misery itself. First, shift your gaze. What is this specific suffering teaching you? Nietzsche believed that suffering wasn't something to be merely avoided, but something that could deepen us, make us stronger, more profound. So the first step in applying Amor Fati to your hated job is to ask, with brutal honesty, what is this specific experience in all its awfulness uniquely positioned to teach me? Perhaps it's teaching you incredible resilience, patience you never knew you had. Perhaps it's clarifying with piercing, undeniable sharpness what you absolutely do not want in your life and career, thereby illuminating what you do want. Maybe it's teaching you about certain power dynamics, about human nature under pressure, or even about systemic issues within your industry. Don't dismiss these lessons as mere byproducts of a bad situation. Nietzsche would urge you to see them as part of the necessity of this chapter, valuable in their own right. Amor Fati here means saying yes to the curriculum, however harsh. Actively look for these lessons, write them down, acknowledge them as part of your fate being unveiled. Second, reclaim your agency, the power of your response. While you may not have chosen your current job, or you might feel powerless to change the external circumstances immediately, Nietzsche's philosophy consistently emphasizes the power we have over our inner response. Applying Amor Fati here means consciously choosing your stance. Will you let the negativity consume you entirely, defining your whole being? Or can you choose to see your capacity to endure, to maintain your integrity, or even to find small, almost imperceptible moments of grace or learning as an act of will, an assertion of your spirit despite the circumstances? This isn't about pretending the job isn't bad. It's about refusing to let the badness of the job entirely dictate the quality of your inner life. That refusal, that conscious choice of response, is a powerful act. Third, see Amor Fati as the uncomfortable catalyst for necessary change. This is a crucial, often misunderstood aspect. Sometimes, loving your fate means fully unflinchingly embracing the reality that your current situation is intolerable and that its intolerability is precisely the fated impetus you need to make a significant change. The profound discomfort, the hate for the job when affirmed through Amor Fati, isn't a signal to passively endure forever. It becomes a sacred fire under your feet. If your fate includes this deep suffering in your job, then your fate also includes the dawning realization that this must not continue, and the energy to change it. That too is part of your fate, to be loved and acted upon. Amor Fati can empower you to plan your exit, to retrain, to seek new horizons, not from a place of bitter victimhood, but from a place of profound self-affirmation. My life, my fate, demands something more, something different, and this current suffering is the fated signpost telling me it's time to build that. Fourth, reframe your narrative, this chapter in your larger story. Our lives are stories we tell ourselves. A hated job can feel like a terrible, unending chapter. Amor Fati invites you to become a more conscious author of that story. How can this difficult period be integrated into the larger narrative of your becoming, your self-overcoming? Instead of "I'm a failure because I'm stuck in this dead-end job," the narrative viewed through Amor Fati might become, "This was the challenging period that forged my resilience, clarified my purpose, and ultimately propelled me towards X." Or, "This was the necessary darkness that made me appreciate the light that came after." It's about weaving this experience into a story of growth, where even the most difficult parts are seen as essential to the plot, contributing to the strength and wisdom of the protagonist, you. And fifth, embrace the imperfection of the practice. It's vital to remember that applying Amor Fati, especially in deeply challenging circumstances, is not a one-time fix. It's an ongoing practice, an ideal to strive towards. There will be days when you feel overwhelmed by the negativity of your job, days when loving your fate feels utterly impossible, even absurd. And that's okay. That too is part of the human experience to be affirmed. Nietzsche himself was no stranger to suffering. His call for Amor Fati comes from a place of having stared into the abyss. The aim isn't to achieve a permanent state of blissful acceptance of awfulness. It's about returning again and again to this core principle of affirmation, even imperfectly. Each attempt, each moment you manage to shift your perspective even slightly, is a small victory, an exercise of your will. Applying Amor Fati to a job you hate isn't about suddenly finding joy in the drudgery. It's about a profound shift in your internal landscape. It's about recognizing the necessity of your current path, extracting every lesson, owning your response, and potentially using the experience itself as the fated fuel for creating something new. It's an alchemist's task, turning the lead of everyday suffering into the gold of a consciously affirmed life. we've journeyed deep into the heart of one of Nietzsche's most formidable ideas, Amor Fati, the love of one's fate. And we've wrestled with what is undoubtedly its toughest application, trying to find this affirmative stance when faced with the daily reality of a job you truly hate. So as we draw our exploration to a close, it's vital to underscore why this is, and always will be, Nietzsche's toughest challenge. It's a tough challenge because it demands unflinching honesty with ourselves every single day. It's not a philosophical concept you learn once and then have mastered. It's a practice, a discipline, an ongoing, often moment-to-moment choice to engage with your life, with your entire life, suffering included, in this affirmative way. There will be days, especially when work feels overwhelming or meaningless, when the sheer weight of your circumstances will make the idea of loving your fate feel distant, even impossible. You will falter. You will feel frustration, resentment, perhaps despair. And Nietzsche, in his profound understanding of human psychology, knew this. The goal isn't an uninterrupted state of euphoric acceptance. The love in Amor Fati is muscular. It's forged in the fires of real-life struggle, not in an ivory tower. Embracing it as Nietzsche's toughest challenge means accepting this imperfection in your practice. It means that even the act of recognizing your resistance, your struggle with Amor Fati, becomes part of the fate to be affirmed. Yes, today is a day I cannot find that love for what is, and that too is part of my path. It's a tough challenge because it asks us not just to find meaning, but to create it, especially when external circumstances seem barren. In a job you hate, meaning rarely knocks on your door. Amor Fati, in this context, is the courageous act of saying, even here, even in this place I despise, I will choose my response. I will seek the lesson. I will assert my will to affirm my existence, to make even this experience serve my growth, my understanding, my ultimate story. This is the ultimate creative act, to take the raw, often painful material of your fated circumstances and sculpt from it a life that you can, in the final analysis, look upon and affirm with your whole being. It's the difference between being a passive victim of your story and becoming its active, courageous protagonist. And finally, it's Nietzsche's toughest challenge because it culminates in that staggering thought experiment of the eternal recurrence. To live in such a way, to affirm your experiences so completely, job, hatred and all, that you could honestly say yes to reliving it all, an infinite number of times, that is a standard of affirmation almost beyond comprehension. It's not a literal expectation, perhaps, but a guiding star, an ultimate test of how deeply we are willing to embrace our one, unrepeatable, yet potentially eternally willed existence. So, what have we learned on this journey? We've seen that hating your job is a real and heavy burden. We've debunked the myths about Amor Fati. It's not about passivity, toxic positivity, or masochism. We've uncovered its true essence, a radical, active affirmation of all of life, a yes to your unique, irreplaceable fate, powered by the understanding that every moment, every challenge is a necessary thread in the tapestry of who you are. And we've explored how even in the depths of a job you despise, this profound idea can offer not a magic wand, but a shift in perspective, a way to find lessons, to reclaim agency in your response, to use the discomfort as fuel for change, and to integrate even the harshest chapters into a meaningful life story. It's about transforming your relationship to what you cannot immediately change, and finding power in that very transformation. Nietzsche's toughest challenge is ultimately an invitation to live more courageously, more honestly, more affirmatively. It doesn't promise a life without pain, but it offers a way to ensure that pain does not have the final say. It offers the possibility of standing before the totality of your life, with all its struggles and its joys, and declaring with the full force of your being, yes, this was my life, and it was good. I will it so, once and for all eternity. The question then isn't whether you can instantly love a job you hate. The question is whether you are willing to embark on the tougher, deeper journey of learning to love your fate, the journey of becoming someone who can affirm their life. No matter its trials. That perhaps is a job worth dedicating yourself to. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep exploration. If this resonated with you, or if it challenged you in a meaningful way, please show your support by giving this video a like. And if you haven't already, please subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss our future journeys into philosophy and life's big questions. Sharing this video with someone who might find it valuable would also mean the world to me. And for our discussion today, what's one aspect of your fate, big or small, that you're currently working on affirming in your own life? I'd be incredibly interested to read your reflections and experiences in the comments below. Your insights enrich this community. Until next time, live deliberately and perhaps try to love your fate.